Greetings and welcome to yarnspirations.com. I'm Mary Beth Temple from Hooked for Life, and in this video we're going to take a look at the Knit Sampler Afghan. This will teach you 3 really cool texture stitches. You'll make very simple to shape blocks in 3 different colors. We used Caron 1 pound in lace, off-white, and medium gray mix, but you of course can pick the colors that float your boat, and a size US 8 or 5 millimeter knitting needle, or size needed to obtain gauge. So there are 3 different colors and 3 different blocks, and after you get all your blocks finished, you put them together following the assembly diagram. So there is a basket weave pattern, which I think is a pretty common stitch for you to know. It is basically knits and purls and nothing fancy. But moving on, I want to show you the Trinity stitch, which is what we use in the second block. That's this one with all the little textured bubbles. And then we're going to take a look at the mock cable pattern, which gives you very cool twisty cable looking stitches without having to use a cable needle. So let's take a look at these new stitches. Let's take a look at the Trinity stitch pattern, which is what we are using for the block 2 blocks. And this is the right side of the work. You can see it's a little bit open, but it has these cool little bumpies in it, and it is a 4-row repeat, and it's really simple to learn. So I've already done row 1, which is a purl row. Rows 1 and 3 are purl rows, so if you're looking at the right side of the work, which is the bumpy side, that's a purl row. This is what the wrong side of the work looks like. It is also textured and interesting, but it is flat. So the bumpy side is the right side, the flat side is the wrong side. Looking at the second row, it says knit 1, then knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, all in the next stitch. So knit 1, but do not put the loop off the right hand needle. Bring your yarn forward so you can purl in the same stitch, but still do not take it off the left hand needle. Put your yarn back so you can knit in the very same stitch, and now push it off the left hand needle. So you have 3 stitches in one, and that's what makes that sort of open area. And in the next thing that we do is purl 3 together. 1, 2, 3, purl 3 together. And we're going to do that all the way across until 1 stitch remains, and then we're going to knit the last stitch. So knit, don't take it off. Purl, don't take it off. Knit, now take it off. Boom. Purl 3 together. Your block will be bigger, of course. I just made a small one to make it easy to show on camera. Knit, purl, knit, now take it off. Purl 3, 2 together. Purl 3 together, not purl 3, 2 together. Oh my goodness. Knit, purl, knit, purl 3 together, knit, purl, knit, purl 3 together, knit 1. So that's the second row. I'm going to go ahead and do the third row, which is a purl row, and then we'll meet you back here for the fourth row. Now the fourth row works the same way as the second row does, except it's offset by 1. So it begins and ends with a knit 1. But whereas the second row we started the interesting part with knit 1, purl 1, knit 1 in the same stitch, in the fourth row we're starting with purl 3, 2 together. Now I want to talk just very briefly about reading your stitches. Once you have a couple of rows going and you put the phone rings and you put your knitting down because you have to go answer it or what have you, and you come back and you go, heck, I don't remember if I'm on a second row or a fourth row. When you're purling 3 together, can you see how there's one guy hanging out here by himself, and then these 3 were the ones that were knit 1, purl 1, knit 1 in the same stitch? But if you just pull your stitching apart, can you see It's group of 3, sort of a single, group of 3, sort of a single, group of 3, right? Do you see what I'm saying? And so the 3 that are hanging out together, those are going to be a purl 3 together. So if you cannot remember which row you were on, the purl 3 togethers are the ones that look like they're hanging out together. And the single stitches are the ones that have the knit 1, purl 1, knit 1 in them. So if you come back from your work and you can't remember where you are, see all those 3 guys are in the same hole, I know that's a purl 3 together. And as I said before, if you're looking at the right side or the bumpy side of the work, that's always going to be a purl row. So that's really all there is to this stitch. It's very simple, but it's just a luscious texture. I really enjoy this stitch, and I hope you do too. So that is all we have to say about the Trinity stitch. So this is block 3, and it is the mock cable pattern. And as you can see, we have these cool little twisties in here set off. This is the right side of the work, so set off by these little columns of reverse stockinette or stocking stitch. And you got a little bit of an opening in there, and I'll show you how that happens. But it is not lacy. It definitely looks cabled, but the cool thing is, if you don't love cables, there is no cable needle involved. It is done with slipped stitches. So let's take a look at that. So first row is a wrong side row. It's knit 2, purl 3 across to the last 2 stitches and knit 2. So knit 2. No, my cable does not want to behave today. Purl 3 all the way across. Your block, of course, will be bigger than mine. So we have our last purl 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to end with knit 2. All right, the second row is the right side row. All right, we're going to purl 2, slip 1, and we're going to make our slip stitches in this pattern. We're going to make them knitwise, which it tells us in the abbreviations. So I'm going to go ahead and put my yarn to the back as if to knit. I'm going to slip 1 knitwise, then knit 2, 1, 2, then PSSO, pass, slipped, stitch, over. So I'm going to take the stitch that I slipped and pass it over the 2 that I just knit. All right, let's see that again. Purl 2, we're going to slip 1, but we're going to go ahead and get that yarn in the back as if to knit. So slip 1 knitwise, knit 2, 1, 2, pass, slipped, stitch, over. So take that slipped stitch. Now hold on to your working yarn because it helps keep those knit stitches on the needle and keeps them from flopping off the end. Purl 2, get the yarn in the back, slip 1 knitwise, knit 2, pass, slipped, stitch, over, purl 2, get the yarn in the back as if to knit, slip 1 knitwise, knit 2, pass, slipped, stitch, over, and we're going to end that row with a purl 2. Now we had PSSOs without corresponding yarn overs. So what happened? We have fewer stitches on this row than we did on the row before. So you have lost 1 stitch in every mock cable. So I believe in the example, they have you casting on 52, and I'm pretty sure that gives you 10 cables, so you'll have 10 fewer stitches. In my case, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, so I have 4 fewer stitches because I lost 1 on every one of those PSSOs. But we're going to get them back, and this is how. Let's take a look at the third row. Third row is knit 2 at the beginning, and then purl 1, yarn over, purl 1. So this was my group of 3 where I lost a stitch due to the PSSO, and now I'm putting that stitch back in the same place. So purl 1, yarn over, purl 1. Knit 2, and we're going to do that all the way across, and then we're going to purl 2 those last stitches. Purl 1, yarn over, purl 1. So this is putting back all the stitches we took out on the previous row. And when I showed you the stitch at the beginning, I said there was kind of a little opening in there. That's what it is. It's from these yarn overs. But once again, it is not a lacy looking stitch. It definitely looks textured like a cable. And we're going to end with a purl 2. And now I have all my stitches back. You'll have the same number of stitches you started with. If you're following along with the block, you'll be back to 52 at that point. And then the fourth row is purl 2, knit 3 across, ending with a purl 2. That's just so the second and third row was where all the little tricky bits are. So that is all you need to know about the mock cable for block 3. So all you have to do is make the number of blocks that are suggested, and then you follow the stitch diagram, which we have very helpfully given you in color. And of course you can use the colors that we chose, or you can use your own colors. And all you need to do at the end is stitch all those blocks together, and you're all finished. So thank you for joining us here on yarnspirations.com for the Knit Sampler Afghan. I'm Mary Beth Temple from Hooked for Life. Thanks for joining us.